Good evening, dear friends. Our human body holds many secrets and mysteries. And one of the amazing properties of the body, which usually appears after about 50 years, mostly in women, is the ability to produce salt in the spine and joints. Salts. And another name for this phenomenon is the neck hump. What is it? What is the chemical composition of these salts that local scientists tried to find out? Once again, they challenged science or folk wisdom, which will prevail this time. Now we will find out. So, friends, the localization of the neck hump is this kind of formation, like a soft growth, located in the upper part of the thoracic region, bordering the lower part of the cervical spine, right in this area, right at the spinous processes and even a little to the sides of them. Right here, in general, this is the localization of this formation. It is also known as a widow's hump. Widow's hump. Why? Apparently this was some kind of historical phenomenon. Maybe it appeared in some well-known widow, or maybe widows used to have it before. Well, it's hard to say. Who knows? Share in the comments why it has this name. So what do we know it as? Neck hump, widow's hump, salt deposits. That's it. What will we see? Now we have modern imaging methods. For example, MRI, well, CT X-ray. And for now, it shows us whether there are salt deposits or not. What do all these diagnostic methods show us? Normally, we have a certain curve in the cervical spine. This is called cervical lordosis. All 7 cervical vertebrae are positioned relative to each other in a certain way, forming a certain curve, which is called lordosis. It allows us to make various movements. With it, the load is evenly distributed across the neck. It allows us to tilt our head forward. There's a small range for moving it backward. We can also turn it in different directions. But modern life is harsh. It demands our constant attention. Our heads are usually in this position because we constantly need to look at our phone screens. Before, we had to look at newspapers and books. Now, it's mostly phones. And that's why we spend more time with our heads tilted forward. When our head tilts, here we're just looking straight ahead, straight ahead. When our head tilts down, like when we're looking at something on our phone screen, for example, or let's say you're reading a newspaper, right? You're holding something in your hands and you're looking down at it. Staying in this position for a long time gradually causes your muscles to get used to it. And even when we want to return here again, to look forward, because the muscles in our neck gradually weaken and become thinner. In some places, they even become fibrotic, with connective tissue partially replacing them. In some areas, even fat tissue appears instead of muscle. Here, our neck muscles gradually become weak and thin. Here, they were still strong and healthy. And when we want to look forward, to get distracted from our main activity, when we want to straighten our head, the movement we make won't be the same. Let me draw it right here. Right here. When we straighten our head, the movement will happen not in the whole neck, but only here in its upper part, and this curve will stay the same. So we will be looking forward like this. already in this position, which becomes a habitual position for the neck. Not all the neck muscle groups are working. Only this upper part, and it becomes overloaded. Because of this, excessive tension appears here in the suboccipital area. Irritation of the occipital nerve occurs, venous outflow is disrupted, and in some cases even blood inflow is affected. But constant tension here gradually leads to restricted neck mobility, and those so-called salt deposits start to build up right in this spot, right here, little by little, gradually and unnoticed right here. We develop this kind of fatty buildup. In fact, it's not salt. As local researchers have found by studying the data, turns out it's fat. That is the human body. It doesn't have the ability to produce salt at the cervicothoracic junction, but it does have the ability to produce fat there. And this little fat pad, right in this fatty area, it gradually starts to grow. So how can we get rid of it? First of all, we need to restore these muscles, the neck extensors, and gradually reduce this swelling. It will be taken care of by the work of your muscles. Because there is an element of swelling here, not just fat, but as you gradually restore the muscles, all of this will also decrease. So, friends, let's move from words to action and start getting rid of this hump of yours. So, friends, the first group of exercises gets rid of salt deposits in the spine and removes humps, various ones like this. Take a roller, put your hands on it, lie down, place the roller close to your head, and from this position, start raising your elbows up. Hold for a second or two at the top and lower them down. Raise your palms, lean on the roller and lower them. In this position, do 10 repetitions for 2 to 3 sets.
When it becomes easy, after, say, a few days, months, or years of doing this exercise, you move the roller a little further away, about 5 to 10 centimeters from the top of your head. And from this position, try to lift your arms, raise them, lower them, raise them, lower them. In this position, the upper part of your trapezius muscle between your shoulder blades will be working. There will be tension and contraction right in the area where the muscle is the weakest and thinnest.
And the next step is to start moving while keeping your elbows in the raised position the whole time. So you've raised them up and now you move forward, back, forward, back. But if it's hard for you to do it in this first position, then practice in it for a while. Then make it harder by going a bit further and then a bit further. Your head should stay down the whole time with your forehead touching the floor so that the load is focused on the muscles between your shoulder blades in the upper part. Between the shoulder blade angles, those muscles are working.
Now, friends, the next step is to put even more load on this muscle group, which is responsible for the salt buildup. You fix the band on your elbow, hold it with your other hand, place your hand on the wall, and the other hand, the one with the band, put it on the back of your head. From this position, start moving your arm back like this. Here, you also get tension in the trapezius muscle, and at the same time, the mobility of the scapula increases. The deltoid muscles are also engaged in the movement. What's the difference from the previous exercise? The difference is that here the muscles start working a bit from a stretch position because they're used to always being in a stretch state. Your shoulder has been hanging here for years. and from this position, ustornu, to return it to a more natural position. You should practice this kind of movement to one side and then to the other. Here, if you want to increase the load, you can use a stiffer resistance band, or you can move this hand a little away from the center to the side, C. So the tension here will be stronger. The farther you move your hand to the side, the more your muscles have to work. So the starting position is this one. Your hand is in the center and from this position. And alternately, on one side and then the other, you do the movement 10 times. E. You choose the resistance band so that you feel the effort, but not so much that the next day you feel like everything hurts. Everything's completely wrecked. That is, the muscle should still be able to handle the load. In the first few days, it might take a bit, but after that, try to choose the right amount of load. And third, friends, is an exercise that miraculously helps with this kind of awkward head position when you have a hard time turning it in different directions. But at least it's convenient to look at what's down below. It brings it back to this majestic position of the head and neck, because the neck extensors start to work. This exercise goes like this. Look, you take a pillow or something soft enough that can be compressed like this under pressure. Well, a pillow will do just fine. You can fold it in half like this. Or you can use some kind of soft roller. You can also take a towel and fold it well so that it's soft enough, because you'll be resting your head on it. Place it like this under the back of your head, like that. And now we start moving away from the wall. Away, away. That's it. And we keep resting the back of our head on the pillow or towel, whatever you have under your head. That's it. And at some point you'll feel that your neck muscles have tightened up quite a bit. And they start to get tired from this position. You need to hold this position, but make sure your chin doesn't drop down like this. That is, so you can maintain this natural position of your head. And in this position, to make sure it doesn't drop, you should look not down, not even straight ahead, but a little bit upward, just in case. You'll have this set of 3 to discuss, and what's correct will likely stay. And of course, you should hold this position until you start to feel some discomfort. But start with 10 seconds at first, and then you can increase it to 20, 30, and even up to a minute. If here you feel tension, not only in your neck, but also somewhere in your back and even between your shoulder blades, it means you are doing everything correctly, because here the muscles of your neck are working along their entire length. And this exercise is very good for helping you return your head from this forward bend position back to its original position. So, friends, if you tried the exercise, share in the comments how much smaller your hump or that growth has become. Of course, you need to do it for at least a month, and for it to decrease by half, and then for another month, for it to decrease by another half, and then share photos of your amazing results in the comments. Also, friends, I remind you that all these exercises are explained in more detail at the link in the description. They're already waiting for you when you finally start. So, until next time.